Okay, let's see. We are supposedly live. Let's see if we are live. Okay, I think we are figuring this out. Hold on. Rumble Studio. Okay, I think we're live now. I'm putting it in. All right, everybody. If you
are... Yeah. That's right.
Okay, all right.
Now I recognize my sweatshirt.
All right, let's start this from scratch, everybody. All right, we are really sorry. This is, by the way, why we need our producer Robbie West back.
Exactly.
Because they threw me out of engineering school for a variety of reasons, and this is one of them. Okay, I'm not qualified to run the board. So I don't know what happened. Yesterday there was a glitch, and I think this was a residual glitch, but I'm not going to get into all that crap. Anyway, you're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. We basically talked to ourselves for the last 7 minutes. It's instructive to me, by the way, that you guys didn't seem to care, and we're having a great conversation with each other in the live chat for 7 minutes, and that's great. We've created a community. We love you guys. We are here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. We're going to go very quickly through it. We are talking about the report that says that the Venezuelans that we've sent to El Salvador have been tortured, including sexual abuse, including sodomy and forced oral rape. The French withdrawal from Mali and Burkina Faso has led to a power vacuum being filled by an affiliate of al-Qaeda called JNIM. Epstein filed his charge. Petition is now at 218. So we are looking at a showdown in the House of Representatives over the Epstein files. And finally, the Department of Justice is investigating sort of a Turning Point USA appearance at UC Berkeley that kind of didn't go as well as one might have hoped. Okay, I think now, let's see, is anyone saying in the live chat whether we're actually here?
It looks like we're here because I'm wearing today's sweater.
Okay, that's good. Let's see what people see. Okay, yes is it. Okay, people said they thought they were going mad for a minute. Okay, we are hopefully fixed. Someone's saying that it's a little bit glitchy. I don't know what to say about that. But all right, John, nobody heard anything we had to say. Just by the way, the 7 minutes that you guys missed were absolutely brilliant. And you'll never get that time back. So John, you were saying about the Venezuelans. Let's go back to the Venezuelans. And if you can repeat what you were saying.
So the Venezuelans that we deported and sent to the mega prison in El Salvador, we were talking about that. This is clearly a crime against humanity. We even have a law in this country called the Federal Prison Rape Prevention Act, which is supposed to protect prisoners from this kind of assault. But the government here just doesn't care what happens to people like this. They're just, deportees, as Woody Guthrie once sang. So I don't think anything is going to come of this, certainly. It's good that it's out there. It's awful that people are being raped and sodomized in a prison they were put in by the United States, and there's no recourse. It's just, it's horrible. Then you mentioned that it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. It most definitely is a violation of the Geneva Convention, but I think the administration would argue that to be protected by the Geneva Convention, you have to be a lawful combatant.
Right. This is the argument that goes back to, of course, your period of the agency during the global war on terror, where this new term enemy combatant was coined by the Bush administration and by the late non-lamented Dick Cheney. To basically deny people their rights. And there's no such term under the law, U.S. or international law. But now, that's the thing. It's like that's the thing with politics, right? You do something to cut a corner one time, and that's it. It becomes a precedent that will be used forever.
That's it. And then there's nothing that the next guy can do to stop it. And I wanted to bring up something else. This was a story broken by the Washington Post this morning on the front page, saying that beginning in 2004 and ending in 2024, the CIA dropped billions and billions of poppy seeds on the poppy farms of Afghanistan, because these seeds the CIA developed to be less potent than regular poppy seeds, and they would presumably make the heroin less potent and ruin the Afghan heroin crop. Now I have several issues here. Wow. First of all, this was a program. This is confirmed by 14 former CIA officers.
This is biological warfare.
Biological warfare. They used British planes, so they were working with the British. But this was an operation carried out by a little-known agency entity called the Crime and Narcotics Center. That was a graveyard for dum-dums who couldn't cut it anywhere else in the agency.
Oh boy.
And they used to brag, drugs and thugs, drugs and thugs. Now you sound stupid when you say that. Stop saying drugs. I used to work for this guy. Anyway, drugs and thugs, man. It's like, well, then why don't you just join DEA if you want to do drugs and thugs? They're the ones with the money and the operational approval. Anyway, but at the same time, it was the CIA that was protecting the poppy fields. Remember what that poppy farmer told me? That the CIA told him he could grow as much poppy as he wanted so long as he told the Americans where the Arabs were hiding. So it's another one of those situations where you've got the CIA operations directorate literally at war with the CIA's intelligence directorate. And then the conclusion of this epic, groundbreaking piece is that the seeds didn't work anyway. Nothing happened.
That's always the case with a lot of these kind of schemes, right? But it could have really fucked things up in other ways, right? I mean, the law of unintended consequences, there could have been other crops that would have failed as a result. The last thing that the Afghans need is anything that fucks with agriculture. I mean, it's a very agrarian society. Their economy is highly dependent upon it. And I don't understand. I mean, the United States always has to relearn every lesson. We learned how to no force has been more effective at curtailing a poppy production in Afghanistan than the Taliban. The Taliban banned it very effectively back in 1999 and 2000. And the U.S. had this weird program where we paid some of the Taliban officials' salaries in order to, as a bribe to the Taliban 1.0 government to basically proceed with this. And the farmers were compensated and paid to grow other stuff. And it worked, right? I mean, opium production fell off a cliff.
Zero. There was zero opium produced in Afghanistan in 2000.
It's amazing. I mean, like it's instant. Well, I mean, when you're threatened with death, it tends to get your full attention. And so it's kind of like, I mean, and it came back just as fast, right? Like in 2001, it was amazing to me, right? The U.S., the bomb started falling, I believe it was October 4th, 2001. And I arrived in Afghanistan November 15th. There was already, I don't even know how this is possible, but there was already opium paste turning up in bazaars by December 4th. And I remember even just thinking like, wow, that'd be a lot of opium paste. The purest, even my biggest druggy friends would drop dead if they even looked at that shit. It's so potent. And the porn started showing up in the bazaar, like on November. Yeah. We talked yesterday about, in the Bollywood influence. My favorite was all these weird Indian porn things with weird English titles like Founder's Boobs.
Oh my God.
I prefer my boobs thunderous to thunderous, and I think thighs should be thunderous, not really boobs. I don't even know what thunderous boobs would look like. But anyway, Yeah. So that's actually terrifying, right? I mean, if that's, I mean, if there should be an international convention banning the the dissemination of biological entities over a foreign country without their express permission.
I had a conversation once with the British ambassador to Afghanistan. It was at Bagram Air Base, and I was there with the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, not with the agency, and we were talking about spraying, right? Like we tried to do in Mexico back in the 70s and the 80s. And he said, "Can you imagine if we sprayed like Roundup, for example, on the poppy fields every time a child is born with a birth defect or mental retardation or any problem at all, they're going to blame Her Majesty's government," he said. And I said, yeah, that's exactly right.
And rightly so.
The solution is not to spray them. The solution is earlier on in the process, where you convince them not to plant the things in the first place.
You pay them.
You pay them.
Because there's no other way for them to make any fucking money.
That's right.
I mean, especially now, I mean, like the Afghan economy is collapsing due to these horrific sanctions, which also are, you know, just heinous. Houdini's asking, wouldn't the CIA want the heroin to be as potent as possible since it's mostly going to Russia?
Yeah, they would. See, this is that dichotomy again. The Directorate of Operations, yeah, they want Afghanistan to produce as much heroin as it can. But then the Directorate of Intelligence, where most of the more sane people are saying this doesn't make any kind of sense. There shouldn't be any American-supported heroin in the first place. And so you're stuck with the CIA fighting itself.
That's crazy. Another comment here. It looks like Super Chat's not working. I'm going to fix that. I'm pretty sure I can fix that. I think you might be in the wrong chat, so I'll fix that. Star Runner, did you see where senators slipped in $500,000 payments to the senators whose phone records were surveilled by the FBI, currently being debated right now in the House of Representatives? I missed this story, John. Can you fill me in while I do a little troubleshooting here?
Yeah, in the budget bill that the Senate passed a couple nights ago, they included a line item to give themselves $500,000 each if the FBI had examined their cell phone records related to January 6th. So this would be as kind of a settlement payment. So if your cell phone, like Josh Hawley, remember Josh Hawley running with his fist up in the air, and then he ran for his life an hour later from the January 6th people. Well, the FBI sought Josh Hawley's cell phone records to see, was he talking to anybody that was involved in the demonstration. So Josh Hawley gets $500,000 cash as a settlement now. Any senator, and of course they're all Republicans, any senator that had his cell phone records examined gets $500,000. It's nice to be the boss.
Oh, God, it's just like, it's amazing. I do not understand. By the way, it looks like Super Chats are working over in the Rumble feed. By the way, there's this new feature I just saw over in YouTube where you can set a goal and promise to do something. I don't know, maybe we can promise to rub our stomachs and bark like a dog at the same time or something if we get a certain number of Super Chats. I don't know. Sounds like the kind of thing that would be more annoying than anything else. But as far as I know, everything is up and running despite my previous screw up. By the way, just thanks everybody. We did achieve our goal on Robbie Aid last week. And we are set for the month of November. But if you are so moved, you can donate to Robbie anyway, just as a tip. He's at givesendgo.com/West Glacier Gaming. That's givesendgo.com/West Glacier Gaming. And we also have some ads, John. Should I go ahead and read one? I think I will
Great.
go ahead. I will go ahead and read one. Okay. Brooke Burke, a fixture in the entertainment and wellness industries for decades, known for her roles in Dancing with the Stars and Wild On, is not one to shy away from the spotlight, but shortly after she turned 50, despite her expertise, the fitness icon suddenly found herself battling a body that seemed to be working against her. Now Brooke is opening up publicly about her experience because it's that millions of women face: unexplained weight gain, muscle loss, and declining energy. And she's revealing how she discovered one thing that made her leaner, stronger, and healthier than ever. She says that today at 53, she feels amazing and her abs are tighter than they were 10 years ago. What changed for her was she began biohacking and discovered that she needed more protein, but not just any protein, one specific protein, which was a total game changer. And when she found it, she says it was like uncovering a secret weapon for weight management and muscle gain. Everything changed. I'm leaner and stronger than I've been in my whole life. She's sharing this with the world, to both women and men, so everyone can learn about this revolutionary protein. Click the link in the chat or scan the QR code on the screen to watch. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program here. We are all right. So should we talk about? We should talk about Epstein, right? I mean,
yeah, we got to talk about Epstein.
Okay,
yeah.
So anyway, House is back in session. It looks like Thomas Massie has 218, and there's some thought that there's someone resigning who's one of his 218, but he says that even if they go down to 217, they'll be back at 218. Discharge petition will happen. There should be a battle on the floor of the House. John, how does this work? I mean, is there anything that the leadership that doesn't want to release the Epstein files can do to prevent it at this stage?
No, there's nothing that they can do. This is what's called a discharge petition. We talked about it one time months ago, but this is that inside baseball stuff that I just love about Capitol Hill. So there's a history of very strong speakers of the House, present speaker accepted. In that it's the speaker who single-handedly decides what goes to the floor of the House for a vote and what doesn't, what gets killed in committee and what doesn't. Well, if there's something that a majority of the House wants that the speaker won't permit to come to a vote, any member of Congress can file what's called a discharge petition. This is a petition to discharge whatever the issue is from the committee where it happens to be stuck. Usually that's the Rules Committee. Usually something will get out of, whatever committee it's assigned to, goes to the Rules Committee, which decides whether it is legal and then whether it should go to the floor for a House, but of course only with the signature of the Speaker. So in this case, and let me back up. I was working on Capitol Hill in 1986 when there was a discharge petition related to tax cuts. Right? The speaker didn't want tax cuts. The members wanted tax cuts. They issued a discharge petition. It got 218 votes. It went to the floor of the House for a vote. Not to say it'll become law, because there is no such thing as a discharge petition in the Senate, but that's a different story. So what we have here is Thomas Massie and a handful of other Republicans, a very small handful of Republicans, plus all of the Democrats, literally every single one of them, including Representative Grijalva, who was just sworn in today. They want to send to the floor an order to release all of the Epstein documents. Mike Johnson said, no, they're not releasing any documents. And Massie doesn't really care about what happens to his career. He stands on principle. And so he filed a discharge petition. He's been trying to whip votes. It now appears that he has the votes. And so the petition will be voted on the floor. If it gets 218 votes, and it looks like it's going to be 218 to 217 or 218 to 216, then the Justice Department has to release everything it has on Jeffrey Epstein.
And that's it. I was, just before we went on air, or I should say more accurately, just before I thought we were about to go on air, I saw breaking a news flash about how Democrats released a letter, emails from Epstein, in which he talked about Trump and apparently said that Trump, in which Epstein claims that, of course, he's not here to verify this, that Trump spent hours at my home with one of the accused victims. This is a new email that was just released by the House Democrats. So what do you make of this? Why are the Democrats doing this now and not before?
Well, a couple answers come to mind. One, that the accusation's not true. Two, that there are going to be lots of Democrats in these files and on these tapes as well, also having sex with underage girls. And so it's one of those, I think it's one of those situations, Ted, where everybody's guilty. It's a Washington thing. Better to cover it up than to let the truth get out. I fear that that's where we're headed.
But now the truth is going to come out. So will it be one of those like, whataboutism on steroids, where everybody's just like, well, you did it, and never mind what I did. I know what I am, but what are you?
Yeah, and in addition, there's this situation between Melania Trump and Michael Wolff. He's a journalist, and it's funny. Michael Wolff reported, I don't know, months ago, that Donald Trump and Melania met on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. We have no idea if that's true. Melania Trump says it's not true. That they had sex on the plane, and that Donald Trump was cavorting with underage girls. So he published this in a book, and Melania's attorneys sent him a cease and desist letter, tried to get the book canceled. He says, you can't cancel the truth. He went forward with the book. Now he's suing Melania for $1 billion for defamation. And then we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for the suit from Melania against Wolff.
God.
Yeah, it's
like,
it's
holy
hideous.
shit. Yeah, that's the perfect word for it.
I will say she's very litigious. You remember during the first administration, there was a reporter, and I don't remember who it was, who said that she was a very high-priced prostitute, and that's how he met her. He had actually purchased her services.
Yeah.
She said that wasn't true. She sued and she won.
Good for her.
Yeah,
she's absolutely right. I mean, I would have told her to do the same.
Yeah.
What a shitheel to say something like that.
Crazy. Washington's crazy.
Disgusting. Spectrum 30, thank you very much for the €5. John, congrats on the book release. Happy for you. Would you consider doing an audiobook version and recording it yourself, or is it too much effort?
Oh, no, it's not too much effort. In fact, I've begged them for each one of my books to let me do the audiobook, and they were like, no, we have professionals who do that. We have professionals.
Well, like, do you have an audiobook coming out, I guess, on the new one?
I would have said no, but now that it's Simon & Schuster that's publishing the book, I'm going to say probably yes. So I'm going to ask again, but my ask this time is different, because the first time Random House hired some unknown Broadway actor to read the book, and he pronounced all the names incorrectly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the Greek ones, the Arab ones, the Afghan ones, they were all pronounced incorrectly. So it was embarrassing for me. Well, now I am a card-carrying member of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yes, you are.
And I can do voiceover work. So I'm going to say I want to record the audio of my own book. I'm going to tell him again.
Well, John, I hate to piss on your parade, but I would advise you not to. I looked into this about my most recent book, it's which I was like, I could, do my own recording. Yeah. It's extremely hard and very time consuming. I mean, it could take like, reading your book, you think, it'll take like 3 hours or 4 hours. No, it could be 40 or 60 or 80 hours of intense studio work. You have to do a reset. You can only do an hour at a time. Otherwise, your voice starts to get scratchy and fucked up and inconsistent. You have to go back and do edits and corrections. it's a huge pain in the ass. I had no idea. It's like, I always thought, oh, it'd be fun. I can read my own book. I mean, I read all of the Harry Potter books to my kid, all of them.
Right.
There's thousands of pages, but it's not good enough for audio quality recording. And you have to go to a studio to do it.
You have to go to a studio. And of course, the studio would be in New York. And then what would I do there?
Well, you'd hang out with me.
Yeah, that's great.
So that part's good. Yeah, it's like not like it's so funny. I actually had a friend of a friend, literally in all seriousness, say, like, "Oh, I don't want to come to New York. There's nothing to do there." I was like, "What?
What?"
I mean, of all the briefs against New York City, that's really not one of them. Question for you, John. Fluidic Polly on Rumble is asking, does the media censor or suppress news of domestic terrorism for fear of copycats? There were quite a few of them, but I never hear of them. This is a good question. Go ahead.
That's a good question. The answer is yes. And what they do is, if something happens and in the course of the investigation, a journalist finds information that the government deems to be critical to the investigation, they don't want the public to know, the administration will go, and at a high level, I've seen it when I was at the CIA, I've seen it as high as the president himself calling a newspaper publisher and saying, listen, for the good of the country, for the safety of the country, please don't publish this. And I'd say probably 50% of the time they don't publish it. And the other 50% of the time they conclude that the American people have a right to know the information and they go ahead and do it. But yeah, it's not unusual at all for the White House or for the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of Homeland Security, whomever, to call a publisher directly and ask him to kill the story.
Well, the feed is full of people still still requesting you to do your audiobook. So although people always request, and then like, you guys, if John does this and puts himself through the hell that would be involved, you guys had better fucking buy it. Okay. Peruse one, a quick feedback. Thanks for the Pete Seeger episode of the podcast, John.
Oh, thank you.
Really
Glad
powerful.
you liked it.
What do we think about Bob Dylan and his music? Did you see A Complete Unknown?
I did, and it made me love Pete even more than I already loved him. First of all, thank you. What we're talking about here is I have a third podcast called Dead Drop with John Kiriakou, What Makes a Spy Tick. And we do these little mini episodes too. We release an hour-long episode every 2 weeks, and then we release on the alternate 2-week schedule a mini episode that's between 12 and 15 minutes. This one is about Pete Seeger, the folk singer and activist, and how important he was to me. Hey, I'm going to blow my own horn too. Apple Podcasts sent me an email 2 or 3 days ago saying that this podcast is in the top 5% of all podcasts worldwide.
This podcast?
No, my podcast.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. So anyway, I did see A Complete Unknown. I saw it on a plane, and my sister-in-law had raved about it. So I thought, okay, I've got to check it out. I didn't realize it was going to be as much Pete Seeger as it was Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan. I've always loved Bob Dylan. I've always loved Bob Dylan's music. I'll say that. And I've seen him in concert 3 times. He's absolutely dreadful in concert. Absolutely, positively awful. Don't waste your time or your money. On purpose, he'll play songs nobody's ever heard of, on purpose. And then as the encore, he'll do one of his classic ones from the 60s. And that's it. That's all you get. Take it or leave it. When the first time I went, he was with Willie Nelson and John Mellencamp, and people walked out.
Whoa.
Yeah. They were rocking Mellencamp. And Willie was fun.
So do you think he's just inconsistent? I mean, I've never seen Dylan in concert. But
No,
I mean,
I
like
think
Elvis
he
Costello
doesn't
was
feel that
incredibly
shit.
inconsistent. I mean, he's either brilliant or horrific. Last time I saw him, he sucked ass.
I saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash 3 times too, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're embarrassing. I saw them once when David Crosby was so fat that he couldn't bend over to pick up his guitar. A roadie had to come on stage and place the guitar around his neck, the strap around his neck. That's how fat he was.
Speaking of since we're going to talk about obesity, did you hear that the Trump administration is banning fat people from visiting the United States as tourists?
Yes.
So I don't, first of all, the part that I find like really sad is all the fat people from around the world who wanted to go to the country with the fattest people so that they could feel comfortable now can't come home.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a serious thing.
Has Donald Trump, does he own a mirror?
I know, right? This is a serious thing. He doesn't want any fat people to come to the United States. And
it's
so
like,
he's
visit Ohio or Michigan, dude.
Seriously, he's ordering State Department consular officers to deny visa applications if the person applying for the visa appears to be fat. So there will be literally no Saudi royal family members permitted to come to the United States. Crazy.
That's a good point. By the way, I'm not. I was kind of silent on the Dhillon thing because he never really spoke to me. I mean, like it's one of there's certain things that musically I love music that I absolutely want to love. Bob Dylan's just not one of them. I always feel like that says something more about me than it does about him. Like, maybe I'm not sophisticated enough or intelligent enough. Like I'm not really into jazz for that reason. And it's like, I'm like, maybe I'm like not smart enough or whatever to get jazz.
That's how I feel about Bruce Springsteen. Man, every one of my friends has practically gotten on his knees and worshiped the ground that Bruce Springsteen was.
Me too.
And I've never gotten it.
By the way, there's that whole thing with Springsteen right now about the recording of the Nebraska album. I don't know how you felt about this, but I always thought, he left me cold. And I always thought the bombast was like ridiculous. And I just didn't appeal. Nebraska was the first album where I was literally like, oh, this is pretty good. And and now I'm reading that apparently all of Springsteen's fans like, what the fuck is this?
Hate it. Yeah, they hate it.
And I wonder if Midwesterners were kind of like, oh, here's one for us finally.
I think it's funny that you say that because I had the same experience with him when he came out with a series of recordings called the Seeger Sessions, in which he performed Pete Seeger music. And then I was like, oh, okay, this I could listen to. And people were like, music from the 50s? No.
I love music from the 50s.
So do I, especially when it's like, leftist anthems or songs commemorating the Spanish Civil War, or I love that stuff. It's like a history lesson in a song.
By the way, John, we have to do some Rumble premiums, and I don't know, you never responded in the chat, but we got to do one about music. We got to do one about movies. We're going to be doing that in the next week or so. So another reminder: if you subscribe to Rumble Premium, you get for $5 for $10 a month. You can watch all Rumble Premium content. For $5 a month, you could just watch ours. So up to you what you want to do, but highly recommended to do that. Yeah, I'm with Phil Chats. I could never handle Dylan's nasal twang. That's exactly it.
Well, there's kind of a famous story, and it was hinted at in the movie, but they didn't really get into it. There's a famous story that when Dylan first arrived in New York from Hibbing, Minnesota, he found the nursing home in northern New Jersey where Woody Guthrie was living. He had Huntington's disease, and there's no cure, and it's a terrible, horrible death, and he was just dying slowly. Pete was there every day, all day, playing songs for him and talking to him and reading him in letters that people were sending him. So in the movie, Dylan comes in, he's 18 or 19 years old. Woody Guthrie is his hero. And he asks if he can play a song for Woody that he had written. And Pete nods and smiles, and Dylan plays the song. Well, the part they cut out in the movie was after Dylan left, Woody said to Pete, he's not much of a songwriter, but that voice, it's the voice of an angel.
What? It's, that's awesome. Do you
Isn't
think he
that
was
great?
being
I love that story.
That's so great. That's fantastic. Oh my God. Yeah. So, it's like one of those things. Someone's mentioning Hendrix. Yeah. Give me Hendrix anytime over Pete Seeger. I could put that on
Seeger?
anytime.
Over Seeger.
No. Over Hendrix over Dylan.
Oh, over Dylan. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for singer-songwriter shit, which I am partial to. I got to go Nick Lowe.
I love Nick Lowe. Yes.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
Very. Nobody talks about him, but he's fantastic, and he's had such an incredible
vocal range that guy has.
That's the voice of an angel.
Yeah, he can go lower than I can go. He can go way higher than I can go.
He's amazing. And politically, I mean, also Paul Kelly from Australia, fantastic.
Nick Lowe, what's his name that created The Sopranos? Not David Gray.
Chase.
Yeah, David Chase. David Chase so loved Nick Lowe that he got Nick Lowe to sing a song called "The Beast in Me" that was the closing credits of episode number 1.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Beast in Me. So good.
Oh, so good. What a song.
Yeah. And by the way, he's always great in concert, whether he's backed by Los Straitjackets or whether he's, just him and a guitar. It's always great. Here we go. Breaking news, John. House Democrats. This is it. Release Epstein. This is just more things about the Epstein email. This is not the files themselves. Sorry. Okay. Epstein. So we'll see. I don't know. I got to say, I don't know what Donald Trump did or didn't do sexually with these girls, but to me, it doesn't quite pass the smell test that he did anything sexual with these women. It just doesn't. Girls, I should say. We'll see. We will see. Let's talk about al-Qaeda. So al-Qaeda, there's this al-Qaeda affiliate called JNIM that are based in West Central Africa. Starting about a year ago to 6 months ago, the French started withdrawing from their military bases in their traditional colonial former colonies in the Sahel, including Burkina Faso and Mali, of course. And there's always been, obviously, an Islamist problem in Mali, and to say the least. And now it looks like it's getting pretty serious with the French withdrawal. There's a fuel blockade on the capital city of Bamako. Is that the right way to pronounce it?
I think it's Bamako. And so Timbuktu is still under government control. But basically, JNIM has blockaded all the highways in and out of Bamako since September. So it's been a couple of months, fuel blockade, and basically, the situation's getting pretty miserable in terms of power cuts, food prices going up. And Western nations are advising all of their nationals to evacuate Mali. It's a desperately poor country. And, basically, JNIM is sort of following the Taliban kind of playbook, basically establishing sort of a form of governance in the areas that they control. They impose taxation on the locals. They are, they've set up Sharia courts and so on. This is a major problem. Who's going to handle this? The French? Are they going to go back in? Is the U.S. going to have to do it? Is the UN, or is it just going to rot? For the most part, the U.S. policy position is that this is a French problem, and the French just walked away 6 months ago, and they told us 2 years ago they were going to walk away. Donald Trump has made these odd comments about sending troops to Nigeria, which is generally in the area, northern Nigeria especially. But we're talking about something that would have to be a major troop commitment. This group, the JNIM, I looked it up. I didn't know what it stood for. It's the Jamaat Nasr al-Islam wal-Muslimin, which means the gathering, the revolutionary gathering of Islam and Muslims. And it was created by the merger of three groups: Ansar Din, Al-Murabatun, and the Saharan branch of al-Qaeda. Interestingly enough, when they merged a couple of years ago, they pledged allegiance to Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number 2 in al-Qaeda, who we killed by firing an unarmed missile right through the middle of his body. I still think it's brilliant. He was in a house full of women and children. He was in a house full of women and children, and the CIA didn't want to kill the women and children. And so they just fired an unarmed missile. It was a missile with no warhead on it. And he was out on the balcony drinking a cup of coffee, and the missile went right through him.
Jesus, the precision.
Yeah. Crazy. So anyway,
that's insane.
This group is all over the place. It's in, as you said, Niger, Mali, Mauritania, Cameroon, northern Nigeria, and we're talking about desert and jungle. There are a lot of them. We already know how bad we are at fighting guerrilla wars, going house to house or tree to tree. It's not as easy as you might think it is. And so I don't think there's any desire in government here or any insistence on the part of the American people to get involved fighting some nebulous terrorist group in West Africa. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no one even knows about it enough to give a shit about it. And if they knew about it, they wouldn't give a shit about it. I mean, Mali, as far as anyone knows, has no natural resources.
Right. They haven't attacked us. So there's no casus belli.
Oh, well, that's for sure. I mean, I guess, traditionally it had been until maybe 10, 15 years ago, sort of the norm for the former colonial power to be considered to be in charge by the West of going in and cracking heads in a situation like this. This does sound like a job for the Foreign Legion, right? I mean, going door to door and counterinsurgency is a French Foreign Legion specialty.
Absolutely. And what about, and don't call me crazy, what about the Wagner Group? Right? I mean, they're already there. What about the Chinese? They're taking over Africa anyway. They would be able to protect their own investments. Why would
they don't want to be involved militarily?
They don't. But why should we be involved militarily to protect China's investments in the Sahel?
Well, so I mean, Emmanuel Macron has his hands full with the French. Yeah. Is he going to have the appetite to go back in? Or I mean, I have to say, I imagine French public opinion would probably require him to send a force, a few thousand, foreign legionnaires to go and save that city and lift the blockade. I mean, because it's just like it's white man's burden, right? It's a French obligation. It's like you guys, you owned it, you broke it, you left it. Now you got to put out the fires every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
I think it's a matter of French national pride, but I don't think Macron wants to do it. And then, of course, there's the situation in Burkina Faso too, it's now spreading over there too.
Yes. And what would French public opinion be? Do the French people want to commit to a war where you don't have any idea what victory looks like?
No, they did that with Algeria. And they didn't like it. And, that's the last time the French did that. They've been out of the endless war business for, the better part of half a century. Yeah. The French, people forget this, but the Rwandan genocide ended in large part because of French Foreign Legionnaires, being sent in at the end to crack heads along with the Belgians. Right. I think that's the French public opinion view is like, go in, limited force, go in and get out. And the thing is that the French government has going for them is they have done this before. They don't suffer from mission creep as much as we do.
Yeah, I think that's right. They don't. And this is one of the situations, Ted, where we're still so early in the process, we can just say, no, we're not interested in this one.
Thanks for the $9.99, Morrow M over on YouTube in the super chat. Love the show, guys. John, I know you were on Julian Dory the other day. Please tell me you go in on Andrew Bustamante.
You know, just between us and this little closed meeting we're having right here. I'm careful with Julian because Julian and Andrew Bustamante are very, very close friends. So I keep most of my criticisms to myself. When I do criticize, it's constructive. But the truth is that Andrew Bustamante is living a lie. And if Julian were to ask me my opinion, I would give him an honest opinion. I think he's living a lie. He was never a case officer. He never did these operations. He's just making it up. And, you know, other people have told me that Andrew tells other people's stories and claims them as his own, which also bothers me very much.
Stolen valor, kind of. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of it, the psychology of it is people figure the CIA is secret. No one can verify or invalidate what you said. And
exactly.
It reminds me of the 2 cups of tea guy in Afghanistan who turned out to be a fraud.
Right,
and it's kind of like, nobody knows what, you know, it's like, well, I was in rural, you know, remote Afghanistan where there's no phones. So, you know, who fucking knows what I was up to?
Doggone it. Pierce Morgan wants me to go on at 1 o'clock. I don't think I can do that. You know, let me tell you something else too. My sister, 1 o'clock. Yeah, actually, I can't. My sister and her husband and 2 friends of theirs are opening a laundromat in Manchester, New Hampshire. They're just about ready to go. It's gorgeous. There's a gourmet coffee bar and a kids' play area. It's gorgeous. So they've been interviewing for help. And for example, a few days ago, they had 8 interviews scheduled over 8 hours. 5 of the people never bothered to show up, never bothered to call. One woman came. My sister said she came in pajama bottoms and a T-shirt that had a tear in it, no bra, and you could see her nipple through the tear in the T-shirt. That's how she came to a job interview. Anyway, there was one guy who came. My sister said he was fantastic. He came well dressed. He was well spoken. She's like, we got to hire this guy right away. So he claimed to be a retired Navy captain. And I said, Navy captain, that's the equivalent of a full bird colonel. Why in the world would he want a part-time $15 an hour job at a laundromat? And then he complained to her the other day that he really needed to pin this job down because since the government was closed, he wasn't getting his pension. And she said, that's not right. My husband's retired military, and the military are exempt from the government shutdowns. They continue to get their pension checks. And he said, well, I was in this special part of the Navy. It was
here we go.
Cover, special operations. We're different. So even our
if you're a captain, you're not.
So she called me to ask me, and I said, it's all bullshit. It's stolen valor. He's making the whole thing up. So she had him fill out this application for background investigation. It turned out he just made up the Social Security number, like off the top of his head. He just made it up.
Wow.
But this is very much my sister. She did a deep dive on this guy. And she found out that he has 3 felony warrants open, federal warrants in Alaska, all for gun crimes. He's on the run. So she called the FBI. They were like, yeah, we don't care. She called the local police. They didn't give a shit. So I said, you know what? I know a guy from Homeland Security, and he's a real ass kicker. He's kind of a fan of mine. So I put them in touch, and he's like, oh, we'll scoop him up. We'll scoop him up, and we'll send him right back to Alaska. He's looking at another 15 or 20 years with these 3 open warrants.
Oh, man.
So
I almost feel sorry for him. Almost.
Yeah.
John, we have a question.
Yeah.
Phil, quick. This might be our last question for today. Phil Chats is asking, is this the first time we're hearing about this group, JNIM? Seems like a new terror organization, daily, hard to keep up. It's the first time I'd heard of them.
I hadn't heard of this group until I was forced to look it up when this news broke. But But we should take it seriously because it's got arms. And so long as they're sweeping into villages and just shooting everybody, or going into schools and kidnapping all the children, which they do, we should keep an eye on it. Not to say we should commit troops to it. I don't believe that we should. They have not attacked us. So
I think this is French business. It's not American business. But I do think, I mean, look, Mali deserves better. It was a cradle of civilization. And then look at it now, and it's fucking sad. And life is hard enough there without these kind of shitheels running around, making people's lives even more miserable. Very quickly, Turning Point USA, they had a protest they had an appearance at Berkeley. Justice Department is investigating UC Berkeley. Obviously, it looks to me like they're just, as usual, like riding hard on, trying to own the libs. That's what this seems like. I mean, Turning Point USA founder gets killed, flags at half-mast. I mean, is this really federal government business?
No, it's not. It's not at all federal government business. I don't even know why we're doing it. But,
it's just politics.
Yeah, Donald Trump understands how to shore up his base and to do it at no cost to himself. And so there it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, John, for being here as always. Looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow. We're here Monday through Friday. We will be back at 9:00 tomorrow morning. Live, really, truly live, unlike this morning when I hit the wrong button. My apologies for that. We will have Robbie back next week. Please stay tuned to the TMI show with me, Ted Rall, and Manila Chan coming right up. If you're in the Rumble feed, you'll be spirited away, just like in a Miyazaki movie. And we will see you tomorrow. And thanks, and bye-bye. Bye, John.
Bye-bye.